Hi, my name is Stacy Cobb. I'm an artist from Northern Idaho, and welcome to my channel. In an earlier video, I talked about doing a junk journal. So this is my very first attempt. Unfortunately, I didn't film it. I was pretty disorganized in putting this together. I didn't know really what I was doing, and I kind of did a lot of it on the fly. Um, and just gathering up all the materials and that for a junk journal and having everything right at hand was a little bit taxing for me a little bit, in between all the other things that were going on. So um, this is the junk journal as I currently have it. This is one I made for me because I do keep a journal. I am a journaler, and I've never had a junk journal before. So originally this was a book that I had picked up at a yard sale, and I cut the guts out and made my own guts, so to speak. The material here that I used is some material I picked up at Walmart, I think. It might have been Joann Fabric. I'm not sure, but it was one of those where you get like little scrap pieces. And so it was big enough to cover this. And I had a stamp that I made this oval stamp with. And I stamped this on manila file folder, and then I distressed it with some stamping inks and with some gelato colors, which are kind of a wax-based coloring system. And then I also stamped this Follow Your Bliss. And to be honest, I don't know where I got the stamps. I went to a scrapbooking exposition about 5 years ago, and I suspect I got them there. It's the only time I've ever been to a scrapbooking place. I know I got this little button here. I got that at the scrapbooking expo. This ribbon, of course, came from Michael's. I got it on sale. It was like $1, I think, for the ribbon. Got a whole roll of it. And so I covered the original cover with this material, and then I put the ribbon on it. I glued it down with some fabric fix, and then I put this front piece on. This little paper, this is actually made out of like cardboard. Here, if I can pull that over so you can see it. And it's got some sort of printed design on the front that's green. And I added this. It was probably the last thing I put on this. Anyway, first page. We open it up, and I had some paper, some rather inexpensive paper that came in tablets, and it was almost exactly this size. This is some off-brand washi tape, which is not sticking. So anyway, so I put that down in here. This paper here and this came out of the original guts of this book, which was a book for leading youth groups that was published in 1931. It was to encourage children to be more godly, I'm sure. And it had this in there, and I loved it. A friend loveth at all times. I think that's great. And so I cut this out, and I distressed it with some of the gelato wax colors. This is like this. It's just some cardstock, and I stamped it with a stamp I had. Cut it out, glued it on as kind of a little tab. Sticker. This is some paper I got at Michael's. It was on the clearance rack, and of course I just glued some ribbon in. And then of course this journal belongs to me. Sticker I had stamped. This is vellum, and I put a sticker on it, and then I took a large stamp that I had and stamped it with green ink I don't know if you can see that real well. And it's just old-fashioned handwriting letters. I had some regular paper that I put in here. This is just college rule paper. Actually, it's wide rule. And this is actually old wide rule. It was almost this color, but I distressed it a little more. Stamped it. This is a stamp I have. It says, "Life is a zoo. Never feed the monkeys." This is a ribbon that came off a gift. My mother kept the ribbon, and I said, "Hey, can I use that?" And she said, "Sure." I just stamped another of the old-fashioned stamping here. Graph paper, which I distressed a little bit. And this says, "Let us lift up our hearts to Him in prayer." These little butterflies, I got a new butterfly stamp, so you'll see a lot of that in here. And I cut that out. I put some of that old-fashioned lettering stamp here, made an envelope and put something in here. And I'm not going to show it to you because it's private. This is my journal that I made for me, and I will be filling it up. This was one of the original music pages that came out of the book, the original book, and I just distressed it. Even though the paper was old and starting to yellow, it still wasn't, distressed enough. Some stamps I had, some little stickers, you see, cutting holes in it. You may not have lost all your marbles, but there's definitely a hole in the bag, and there's a couple little kitties and a big bag there. This came out of a magazine I get. It's an artist magazine, which I really liked. And this right here, this particular card was a birthday card that a friend sent me a number of years ago. And the inside of it said this: "And in one instant, the world became a more enchanting place and magical place." I can't read evidently. This particular paper here, I don't know if you can see it. It has little lines in it. This is baking paper, and it is very, it does not like having stuff stuck to it. So I glued this once with like Mod Podge, didn't work. I tried glue stick, that didn't work. I finally glued it down with some Fabric Fix, and that seems to be working a-okay currently. This also came out of a magazine, and then I just put a little sticker on it just because I could. And this is calligraphy that I added, and it says, "And in a time before." And you can fill in the blanks. More paper. Again, this came out of a magazine. This picture is actually by the same artist who did this picture. And his name is Richard Schmid. He's one of America's preeminent painters and a great advocate of impressionistic realism. Is revered for his painterly style and lyrically poetic quality of his work. I don't know, do I get that out of that? I don't know, I just like it. And just, papers, plenty of paper for me to write and do journaling in. These are also some more Schmid paintings. And then I just added a bow, and it's more of that paper. So this is all stuck down with Fabric Fix. And at back sides of it, it says "larger than still life." This is another paper out of the same magazine. And I just stamped it right here. It says, "If it doesn't make you feel fabulous, don't do it, don't buy it, and don't keep it." And then I added this little picture, which came out of the original pages to the cover of this book. This is just, I stamped it with memories. and then more paper to write on. And I stamped this one in the corner here. It bled through to this side, and I distressed the edge here, which got a little bit of it here, and this stamp bled onto this side. These were stamped on this side, and just, you know, this was actually on the paper. It was already stained when I got it, and then I distressed it a little more. This is vellum and some gold stamping, which didn't turn out so good. This song came out of the original book, and it's What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And I just stamped stamps all over it. I just went stamp happy. And this song means quite a bit to me because we used to sing it a lot when I was a little girl in Sunday school. And this is the end of the first signature. Now, back here, I made this pocket here, and I thought that was really pretty. It's by an artist named Swenson. And then I made like a little postcard, and I love Hercule Poirot, who is a creation of Agatha Christie. She lived in Cornwall, and I just made like this fake postcard with a fingerprint. And then on the back I wrote, enjoying the hospitality of one's patroness? All has been quiet during your current absence. Best regards, Hastings. And as we know, Hastings is Poirot's foil. This is the beginning of the second signature, and I added this ribbon to it. This, and it's just the ribbon is just this one. It doesn't go down here. And here's another little pocket I made, and this came out of the original book, a life motto: trust in Jehovah with all thy heart, and lean not upon thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6. And then I added a little bird that I stamped onto some other cardstock, and I distressed this and added it in here. Little butterfly stamps. Tore the edge here. Another piece of music. I like music. This is vellum. And then this is part of that earlier piece I showed you. And I just took some cardstock and stamped some butterflies out and put them on here. And then there's the cardstock that I stamped it out of. More stickers. This was a painting I saw in a magazine and I liked it. And it's by Adrian van der Spelt and Frans van der Meers, I guess. And I also put a stamp down here. This is again on that parchment paper that doesn't take stuff very well. I stamped this on here, and on a piece of cardstock, and I put it on here, and I thought, now what do I do with it? And I found this painting of this doll, and I thought, she's perfect, she's got attitude, and added a little iridescent organdy ribbon and stamped this side, which has also been distressed. This is vellum paper that's got a stamp on it. And it says, laugh till you leak. It just makes it funnier. Held on with just a little paper clip. This is just a painting that I saw. I stuck it on, I cut it out of a magazine, stuck it on cardstock, and stuck it to this piece of paper to make it easier to turn. And this is the centerpiece. This is another painting by Richard Schmid. Does lovely work. In my own handwriting, I wrote dreams. I made this little flip here, and this little card here came from a company called Coldwater Creek. They used to put these as part of their gift cards. I used to work for them back in the olden days. And this one says, nature, wild nature, dwells in gardens, just as she dwells in the tangled woods, in the depths of the sea and on the heights of the mountains. Herbert Ravenel Sass. And it says lift here. And it's just a picture of a horse. But this is made out of a manila filed folder that I've distressed. More stamps. I love stamps. More stamps here. little stamp there. Ladybug. This came out of a kit that I had, a card making kit I had from a couple years ago, and I just thought it was cute and cut it out, put it there. This was a stamp I did with, it's been embossed. This piece of paper came out of the original guts of this book, and it had this picture here, and I loved it, and I thought, oh, I could make something with that. So I made a little open thing and mindfulness out of a magazine. So, and this is just a painting I liked by Joseph Henry Sharp, and it's untitled, Pueblo Woman. Okay, and just more pages to write on. Magazine, and this is part of that Richard Schmid picture that you saw earlier. This is the other half of it. And I just glued a ribbon in here. Another Coldwater Creek gift card. It says a gift to you. This is what the outside used to look like, and it says Sandpoint, Idaho on it. And then I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion. Henry David Thoreau. And here's another little bird here. And I stamped this page. It didn't stamp as well this time. And I just glued some ribbon on here. Another stamp. We're getting to the end here. And this is just a painting that I liked. And another painting. I'm not quite done with this. I'm sure I'm going to fill some more stuff in. And then that's the end. And this is the back side. There's nothing there. And with this closure here, all I do is I just go like this and wrap it around, and it keeps it closed. Well, and there is my flip through on my very first junk journal. I have to say that this junk journal really made me think of my grandmother a lot. She had a huge, thick ledger when I was a child, and she filled it up with old patterns, pictures from fashion magazines from the 20s and 30s and early 40s. She had pictures that my dad and his brothers drew when they were little boys pasted in there. She had old recipes that she was interested in, knitting patterns, crochet patterns, anything that came to her mind, she would just paste it inside. And sometimes she would write little notes like, oh, you know, Terry did this today. It was so funny to watch the baby do that. You know, Terry was my dad. Or it's like, we got 17 inches of snow today. Will winter ever end? You know, and things like that she would write. So I felt like my grandmother was with me while I was doing this. And I think she would be really proud of it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching this video and hanging out with me today. If you like this, please like it, and please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. And leave a comment. I love reading your comments. They mean a lot to me as well. And you've just changed my life so much. Thank you.